It's Monday, September 23rd. This is our fifth Q&A for the Barber Mastermind. So if you're new here, the way these calls usually work is I'll start with the pre-submitted questions that were in the group, which are right here. I might scroll through, see if any questions come in. Oh, thank you. Awesome. It's all good, Bernard. Happens. And what was I saying? So we'll go through to see if any hot topics. This is our free group, Barber Mastermind. So there's 745 people. Damn. Actually, I remember when it was 0. So now we're at 745. We'll probably hit 1,000 here in the next couple of weeks. That's awesome, man. Welcome. If it's your first time in the group, if you're not in the group, what are you doing? Go join the Barber Mastermind. It's free. It's always going to be free. And you can just network with other barbers who are looking to make more money. And I'm just kind of the organizer of the group. I feel like y'all can learn from each other just as much as you can learn from me. Let's start with some announcements. So first thing is, well, I'm Alex, by the way, if you don't know who I am. I own a barbershop. I've been a barber since 2014, so 10 years now. And then I've been a barbershop owner since 2015. So welcome if this is your first time. I run a school group called the Barber Mastermind, which you're seeing on the screen right now. To get to this group, you just go to this URL that's on my shirt, or just type in Barber Mastermind if you're in school, and you'll find it. It's free to be in the group. It's always going to be free. What's up, Brianna? Welcome. And no, there's no downside. I promise you won't make less money by being in this group and interacting with me and the other barbers that are in here. And best part is that it's free, and it's always going to be free. So let's start with an update. So we started this. This is the first time we started the September games this month, September. And it looks like, let's see who's at the top of the leaderboard. So to check your spot in the leaderboard, you go to this link right here. If you're new, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So if you are new to school, you're going to start at 0, but you earn points by leveling up, basically. And to level up, you engage, right? You make posts, you respond to other people's posts. And if they like your posts with a thumbs up icon, or they comment on your post or reply to your comments, then you get points. And the more points you get, the higher up you go in the levels. And when you move up in the levels, you unlock some cool stuff. So this is what it looks like right now. And as of right now, we're going off the 30-day leaderboard for the games. It looks like Brianna's in the lead, followed by Bernard and Chris. Whoever's in the top spot, which is Brianna right now, I'm going to send you a free tool just for being awesome and engaging in the group. Oh, you can't even see this. My bad. Now you see it. All right, here you go. This is a thing, what you get for being live, right? So this is the leaderboard. These are all the things you can unlock by earning points. Brianna, you're in the lead. You're in the 30-day leaderboard. And I don't know, should we do another one next month? I don't know. I haven't gotten too much feedback on that. Should we do other games next month too, or should this just be a one and done type thing? What do you guys think? Let me know. But yes, all right. Well, maybe we'll do it. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this one does. The whole point, just so you guys know, when you guys engage in the group, it makes the school group rank higher. Every group in school is ranked according to engagement. So if the group can basically spread to other people, and more people will join if it ranks higher in the search results in school. That's basically the whole reason I'm doing this. Plus, you guys get a lot more out of the group if you engage, right? Because a lot of people join and don't say anything. They don't post anything. They don't ask any questions. I'm like, what's the point, man? It's like the whole point is to be a mastermind. That's why I called it mastermind, so that we can all learn from each other. So the more you engage in the group, the faster you will learn, the faster you will get to whatever you want to be. So that's it for the announcement. Oh, I might have something special for you guys at the end of this call. It just depends on how much time we have left, but I'm gonna try to get through your questions, and I might have something special for you. For those that you are attending live, this will not be in the recording. So if you're attending live, then you get first access to this, what I'm going to mention towards the end of this call. All right, so let's start going through these questions here. I'll start with this pre-submitted one right here. All right, let's see. So we got one, looks like, so far to start with. So Brianna asks, I have a dual license. Everybody I speak up to about my business says I need to separate them on socials. I don't think I have the capacity to create 2 pages. Content is a whole job. So I don't agree with those other people, Brianna. I think there's a lot of power in concentration and focus, and it to post on 2 different pages, I think is just like, why? It's like most people can't even keep up with posting on 1 page. So I would never like recommend, unless you were really, really good at content and maybe you had some people helping you, like an editor, somebody posting on your behalf, maybe you could go ahead and split it. But no, until you get there, I would say focus on 1, right? What I think you do need to focus or dial in is who you're targeting, right? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to do with these, with content in general, is we're trying to get, at least that's how I feel, like you're trying to get butts in your seat. So you want to tailor the content towards who's my ideal avatar, my ideal client, and then what can I post to make it more likely that they're going to want to come in. So that's where the power of focus comes in too, because then you're going to have to think of 2 different strategies for 2 different socials, and it's like, why? It's just focus on 1, go hard on that, and then when it starts to get easy, then maybe you can. But I wouldn't even. The whole point is to get clients in your chair, so I don't think that it's going to be worth it to try to have 2 different pages. Like, I don't see the point, unless they're completely different businesses. But then again, it's like your concentration is still divided. So I wouldn't do that, Brianna. I don't know who gave you that advice. Just go hard. Just go hard on 1, right? Because like you said, content is a job, right? So let's see what else we got here. Do you guys have any questions, by the way? Since you're the first ones here, I'll keep going through the group until you guys ask a question, and then we usually go for about an hour. But if I get through everybody's questions and there's no other questions in the group, then I'll end it early. But we usually these calls usually go for about an hour. I changed the time last minute today, so we might have some people joining at 1:30. But it was going to be a short call. It was only going to be 30 minutes, but I extended it to 60 minutes to try to get as many questions in as possible. So, but that last minute change might have not been good. All right, so I'm just going to try to pick up on any themes you got here. I love that you guys are posting these pictures in the community for feedback, because that's awesome. And I think that it's important, even if you're not proud of your work, to take pictures, because I can pretty much guarantee, at least this is what happened for me, you're going to look back, a year from now, 2 years from now, and you're going to be like, man, I've gotten so much better, like, so, and you can always you can post it, right? And then you can always archive it. Like, that's the thing with content. Like, it's very few things are like permanent when it comes to content. You can always archive it later, right? And that's another thing with content in general. Like, it doesn't always have to be new stuff, right? You can take the same stuff and repurpose it in the future and just archive the old stuff. So we do that sometimes when we're like, if we're running behind on content, like, because we try to post at least once a day for our shop's channels. And if we're running behind and we just don't have any, we just need to get something out, then we'll take something that we have already posted and just repost it. I mean, it doesn't always have to be fresh content, because in general, especially, it depends on the platform you're on. But like Instagram, for example, like, there's a good chance that like nobody is going to see that post again after about a month or 2 months, like maybe if it's like doing really well, but chances are like it's going to get buried, especially if you're posting regularly. So if you post on Instagram or whatever platform, YouTube is different. I wouldn't do this with YouTube, but for every other platform besides YouTube, you can reuse stuff without really any negative. And you can always like reuse it and re-edit it too if you want to like see like, oh, maybe I can edit that video a little bit better, or let me try something new. So it's a really good way to kind of like never run out of content. If you only need enough content for like a month, really, if you think about it, maybe 3 months, and then you can just like cycle through it. But we try to do fresh stuff. But if we're running low on content, we'll just repurpose old stuff or re-edit the old stuff too. All right, so there was a question in here earlier about starting off in the shop. A lot of you guys have heard me say this before, but I think that so many people are worried about making money, and they want to go to a shop that has like the cheapest booth rent or the cheapest or the highest commission. I'm like, bro, like, you don't even know how to cut hair yet, like. So I would recommend, if you're fresh out of school, or even if you're an experienced barber but you're not making a lot of money, like go to the busiest barbershop you can find, or go to one of these chain places like Sport Clips, because you're going to get so much experience through so much volume, and you're going to learn from a company that is $1 billion company. I don't know about you, but like I'll take every chance that I can to learn from people that are way ahead of me. So don't be afraid. And I think it's an ego thing. People don't want to feel like they're taking a step back, but sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes I've had to take many steps back in my career in order to take steps forward later. Like when I had to move in with my parents in order to afford to be able to go to barber school, and so I was going to barber school, going to college, and working part-time at the same time. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't moved in with my parents, right? So, and that was a big hit to my ego, right? Like, I did not want to do that, but sometimes like the growth is in the doing the things that you don't want to do. So just remember that, right? Because if you don't want to do it, it's probably a sign that you do need to do it. That's something that I challenge myself with almost every day. And it's almost like it feels even better, like if you really don't want to do something and then you do it anyways. Like I was just telling a client just on Saturday, I was like, man, I just love that feeling when I like feel like crap, and I'm just like, I'd rather do anything else but like shoot this YouTube video right now, or do whatever, like work out. But it's like, man, there's nothing that compares to like when I really don't want to do something and I don't feel like it, but then I do it anyways, right? I'm like, man, nothing compares to that feeling. I don't know about you guys, and I think that's probably one of the biggest thing that separates like super successful people with like just the average person, because successful people don't listen to their feelings. It's like, you can be tired and not sleep. You can be unmotivated and still do the thing that you're supposed to do. You can be hungry and not eat, right? So the people that are at the top, right, they just do it anyways. Like, who cares that you didn't sleep? Who cares that you had a bad morning? It's just like, your clients don't care, right? They want a haircut. So just remember that, right? Don't listen to your ego. Do what is required to get to your goal, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Especially if you got people depending on you, little ones, family members. They just want to know that you're going to take care of them, right? They don't really care how you do it. Hoping to inspire others. Yeah, barbering is more than a skill. I agree, Bernard. That's I think it's a combination of skills, but yeah, some people call it an art. I think of it as a skill that anybody can learn. There's just some people that are more naturally suited to barbering than others, for sure. Like barbering did not come natural to me at all. It was very difficult. But that's what I recommend to everybody. Like, go to a busy shop, right? Because that's what I did. And that's how I got to where I think I'd like all you guys to be in a very short amount of time, which was like doing 20, 30 haircuts a day, 4 or 5, 6 days a week. That would have, I don't know if I ever would have gotten there doing a booth rent place. And I also probably would have learned bad habits, right? But I went to a shop where the time standard was 15 minutes, and I'm coming out of school, and my average haircut time is an hour, maybe 45, right? So, you know, and it's just skills, and skills come through repetition. So putting yourself in an environment where you're kind of forced to learn is, I think, the best thing to do when you're getting started. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys are checking out our tutorials on our YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel where I pretty much all talk about business. That's where you're watching this video right now. And then I have another YouTube channel for my barbershop where we pretty much just post tutorials. So different, because I was telling Brianna earlier, we have two different channels because we have two different avatars, two different clients. Like the barbershop channel is for clients trying to attack clients. My channel is for barbers, right? And if you look back far enough in our shop channel, I've posted some videos that were like had nothing to do with clients, right? So it's because I've been wanting to do what I'm doing now for you guys. I want to been wanting to do this for years, and so some of the stuff that I posted on our channel, like how we price our haircuts, has nothing to, clients don't care, so eventually I created a separate channel where I could just talk about this stuff, right? You're welcome, Brianna. All right. And then Maria asked about a reception desk in a barbershop. I think it depends on the context, but in our shop, I don't know how we would do it without a reception desk. That's where we have our computers, right? So we have two computers. It's so much faster booking an appointment and checking people out from a computer. So, but if you're not doing like checkouts, like if you're not a team-based environment, commission-based or hourly-based, then maybe it's not as necessary. But definitely think having something at the front, I think that's a good idea for sure. You guys have any questions for me so far? I'm just going to keep going through the group and addressing things as I see them. This one was interesting to me. So I was just talking to somebody earlier about the pricing and stuff like that. And I can tell you guys that like, it depends on the situation, but if you're not busy, then you need to focus on marketing, right? Because you just need more clients. But if you're busy and you're not making money, then that's a different problem, right? That means that you're probably not charging enough. So I'll talk about it later, but that's a pricing problem. If you're not charging enough, right, and you're just busy all day, then, well, of course you're not making money, So it's like, I don't know, it's really interesting to split in this group because some people are like really busy, but they're not really happy with what they're making. And then some people need more clients. So those are different, totally different problems that require different solutions. One is a marketing problem. The other one is a pricing problem. But if you're busy cutting hair all day, every day, then you probably need to go up on your prices, right? That's saved my ass so many times because believe it or not, it is possible to be busy and not make money. I mean, there's a lot of busy businesses that go out of business because they're just not making enough. Like we have to have a profit in a business, which profit means what's left over after everything is paid, including yourself, right? So you want to be making enough to pay all the bills for the shop, pay yourself, and then have a little bit left over, hopefully, right? And that's what a lot of barbers and I think employees in general don't realize is that, and I was thinking about this the other day because I'm like, employees in general, not just barbers, like why don't people understand that there has to be a profit in a business? And I was thinking about this for a long time, and I think it has to do something with the fact that, well, when you work for somebody else, like if you're an employee or even commission based, what you get is almost like basically 100% profit, right? Like what gets deposited in your bank account, you get to keep all of that. But as a business owner, it doesn't work that way. Like what you get is just what they call the gross revenue, right? That's just what the bank sends to your bank account after the credit card fees and everything comes out. So that's not, you don't get to keep that as a business. And then you got to pay all the barbers, you got to pay all the expenses, you got to pay yourself as the owner. And then the skill really is what's left over, right? Because that's what grows the business, is what's left over. That's how you can afford raises if you want to pay your barbers more. That's how you can expand if you want to open more barbershops, or if you even just want to, like, you're happy with one shop, but you just want to like upgrade it and do things like that. Comes from profit. So you have to understand, but in order to have profit, you have to be busy, and then you have to be priced appropriately. So both of those things have to happen. And the pricing is a whole other subject. We can get into that later though, if you guys want. All right, I don't see any other questions right now in the group. So do you guys have any questions for me? Bernard, Brianna, I don't know who else is in the call. YouTube doesn't tell me who's in the call unless you guys comment. So whoever else is here, nice. Thanks for joining me. Oh, I think we've definitely talked about this many times in this group, but starting out as a new barber, yeah, I think either commission or hourly is the way you want to go, right? Because then you don't have that overhead. But you want to go to somewhere busy, right? Because if you're doing like pure commission, which a lot of places are, but you're not busy, then you might as well be going somewhere that pays you hourly, right? Because depending on the state you're in, there's probably a minimum hourly rate that, depending, if you're in a slow commission based shop, you might actually be making less than if you were on hourly. So I have a whole video on that on YouTube, but you keep that in mind when you're first getting started in this industry. It really depends on the scenario. Like if you have skill, then you have more options. That's what skill gives you, more options. But if you don't have skill and you need training, I mean, why would you go to a booth rent place, right? Because they're probably not going to train you, because they're not incentivized to. All they care about is that you're paying them their booth rent. So you want to go somewhere that is incentivized for your success, right? So commission-based places make more money if you are making money. So they want you to make more money. Same thing with hourly, right? So you want to find a place where the incentives match what you need, right? And only when you're extremely busy and you're booked out like 2-3 months in advance would I then maybe consider, okay, maybe you want to do booth rent, but only if you also have the skill of marketing, right? Because keep in mind, when you leave the shop you're at, let's say you do get to the point where you're just fully booked every single day, and you're booked like 2-3 months in advance, but you also know how to fill your chair, then you might be a good candidate for booth rent or doing a suite, because you have to keep in mind that when you leave the shop you're at, you're going to have to probably account for the fact that you're going to lose like half your clients. I mean, I've seen it happen over and over. I don't think people believe me, but this is the reality, right? Because I've hired hundreds of barbers, and every single one that leaves loses at least half their clients. Every single one, without exception, right? Even the ones that thought they were being sneaky and writing down people's numbers, right, before they leave. I know who's doing it. It's just crazy. Like, and then they leave, so they lose half their clients right off the bat, and then maybe you'll do okay for a few months, but you're going to start losing clients again, right? Because you're not going to retain all the ones that follow you, right? Because they might follow you in the beginning to support you, but then it starts kind of like, oh, this is kind of out of my way now, and it's like, oh, I kind of liked how at the other shop there was like, free drinks, and like the parking was a little bit better. You'd be surprised the things that test people's loyalty. So only if you have the skill of being able to replace those clients would I then be like, maybe you could do booth rent or do a suite. But I think most people that do suites fail for this reason, right? Because you might start off with a lot of clients, but then you lose half when you leave, And then you slowly start to lose clients over time because what you probably don't know how to fill your chair, like the shop owner was doing for you. And then you end up back in the barbershop, right? So just either don't do booth rent altogether or learn how to market yourself before you make that jump, right? That's all I'm saying. It's not that booth rent is bad. It's just like it's not right for everybody, especially if you like that work-life balance, which is like a big thing right now online. You may not want to do booth rent because you're working all the time. You're a business owner now, right? If you have a suite too, you're a business owner. So on your days off, you're working, or you should be, right? If you really want to make money. All right, so let's see here. We got some questions. So how to say that's the route I took. What are you talking about with the booth rent? Is that what you're talking about, Bernard? Yeah. Glad you learned a lot. And you're welcome, Brianna. So how can I market myself so well to the point where I become self-dependent instead of being dependent on my job? Well, I think at least this is the way I did it. So when I was working for somebody else, I asked every single new client, how are you hearing about us? Let me stop sharing my screen. So I don't know if you heard that. So I asked every single new client, how did you hear about us? And first of all, it's a great conversation starter. But it also gives you kind of data in that, how are people finding me, And when I started noticing that every single person, almost without exception, said Google, right? So I'm like, that's interesting, because even then, this was like 2014, 15 era, everybody was back then even was saying how powerful social media was. But I could probably count on one hand the amount of people that I got from social media the first year or so, because I wasn't that good and I wasn't posting that much. So when I kept hearing Google, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And turns out when I went online on Google Maps and everything, I saw that the shop that I was at was one of the best rated shops in the area. So I was like, oh, okay. So that gave me an idea of like, okay, so when I go and do my own barbershop, I'm going to make sure I go hard on Google, because Google seems to be very powerful. And that's what I did. And that's what I recommend to people. But I think you also have to keep in mind that you have to be careful with the advice that you get from people, because they're only going to tell you like what worked for them. So I preach Google because that's what worked for me. That's what is working for me. We get most of our clients, even now, from Google, even though we're spending a ton of money on marketing. And so the most important thing I think to think about is, what kind of clients are you trying to serve? Actually, I might make that part of the group. I mean, that should be like part of the start here, of course, because it's like, that's one of the most important questions that I think you can ask yourself as a barber. And if you know the answer to that question, it's so powerful, and it makes everything so clear. It's like you're not guessing anymore if you know the answer to that question. So because if you know what kinds of clients you're trying to target, then you know what to focus on. So we focus at our shop on kind of mainly serving like upper mid to upper class type of clientele, people that have a little bit more spending power. And it just turns out that those people tend to go to Google and Yelp when they start looking for a barbershop. We do pretty much everything else too, and we're marketing related. We do organic social media, we do paid social media, but Google right now still works the best for us. So, but you have to think about, okay, once you know who you're trying to target, then it's like, how would they find a client? So if you're trying to target a type of clientele that's going to start with social media, then start with social media. But the thing is, like, all marketing works. It's just a question of which one are you going to focus on, because it's really difficult to do more than one thing and do it well. So I would just start going really hard on whatever specific channel that you want to focus on. So there's really only a couple ways to market if you think about it. You can either do one-on-one or one-to-many. That's it, right? So you can reach out to people one-on-one, and that's DMing people on Instagram, or you can post content or run ads, right? Or reach out to people one-on-one. I mean, but that's it. So I like doing things that have high leverage because you do the work once and then it pays you back over and over again. So we don't do as much one-on-one outreach because that's very time intensive, right? But it's also free, like, so if you don't have money, then that's where you can start with the free stuff, right? You can reach out to people one-on-one, or you can post just free content, but you have to understand that both of those things are going to take time, because when you reach out to people one-on-one, it's probably faster, like they're more likely to respond, but they're gonna they might not see that message right away, or they might not respond to you, right? So it takes a ton of volume to start to get results from one-on-one outreach. And then with content, it's probably one of the highest leverage things you can do, because you do a post, and like potentially the whole world can see it. So there's like no reason not to, right? But content is a skill, just like learning how to cut hair. So it's going to take time for you to get good enough at it to where it actually starts to make a difference. And then it also supports the other stuff. So if you start with content and then you decide you want to start running ads, like when people see the ads, I can pretty much guarantee you the first thing that they're going to do is, before they interact with your ad, they're going to go check you out on social media first, right? They're going to check you out on Google. Let me check your ratings. Let me check your reviews. Let me see how far away you are from me, right? And even then, they may still not come in, because people, you normally need to see an ad a few times before it makes a difference, before they're like, oh yeah, I guess I've been seeing this guy a lot. Let me just go ahead and give him a shot, right? So if you're looking to build clientele, it's a long game for the most part. I mean, the only way to make it, to speed this up, is to start spending money, right? So if you don't have money, then that's not even an option for you. But if you do, then maybe you can run paid ads, you know. But I don't know if that helps you, Bernard. But marketing yourself, it's something that it's a skill, right? It's just like cutting hair. Like, you learned how to cut hair, you can also learn to market yourself. And just like it takes hundreds, if not thousands, of haircuts to even start to get good, it might take hundreds of DMs on Instagram. It might take hundreds of posts on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever to start to get good. It's just a skill but it's also like such a high leverage skill, because if you know how to fill your own chair and you don't need the owner, even if you like working there and you want to stay there, you're just like, you can basically write your own paycheck at that point, because you become so valuable that the owner would probably not want you to leave and would offer you whatever it took within reason to keep you there, right? Because because that will start to rub off on the other barbers too. Like, they see you doing it and they're like, oh, I want to do that too. Maybe you could teach the owner something, right? Maybe help them with their social media. It's like and you can use that outside of barbering too, because I think a lot of barbers, especially new barbers that are in this industry, we're just thinking about cutting hair better, right? But like, what are you doing to learn about the other skills that you need? Like, I just made a video about this, but like the conversation skills. Like, when was the last time you bought a book on how to talk to people, like how to win friends and influence people? This one right here. Have you read this? If not, you're not making as much money as you could be. If you don't know how to talk to people, build a bond with them, you're not making as much money as you could be. But at a certain point, this goes for everybody, you have to switch from your marketing hat to your retention hat. This is my retention hat, right? Because if you've been cutting somewhere for more than, I would say, 6 months, and you're not fully booked, and it's a relatively busy place, right? You're doing, let's say, 5 to 10 haircuts a day, we'll say. If you're doing that kind of volume and you're not fully booked in like 6 months, okay, let's say a year, then you have a retention problem. It means that you're losing clients. And if you don't know what your retention is, ask the owner of your shop to share that data with you. Chances are they probably don't track it. Most people don't. We do, but it's the most important, it's one of the most important numbers in the business. So if you're not tracking your retention, try to figure out what it is. And if the owner doesn't track it, or if you don't track it, try to switch to a software that does. But once you know what your retention is, start working on improving it, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you busy in the long run. Because you can become an expert marketer. You can fill your chair. But if they're not coming back, then now you got to go do it again next month, and then again next month. And you're going to become so good at marketing, but at some point you're going to start wondering, like, why do I have to keep doing this? This is the thoughts that I had like about a year ago. Because I was like, man, we've been open for, at the time, like 8 years, right? And I'm like, why do I have to spend money on marketing? It's because we have a retention problem, right? Like, so for the past like year or so, probably 2 years, we've been actively working on increasing our client retention, and it's working, but it takes time, right? Because people don't come back for a lot of different reasons, but you have to try to figure out, what can I do to keep people coming back? And here's a easy way to make some money. Do you have a list of clients? Like, do you have a booking software where you can pull up like people that have came to you in the past? Let's see if I see. Well, let me just make it you probably do, right? If you do, one of the easiest ways you can fill your chair is by reaching out to people that you've already cut and letting them, and seeing that are overdue for a haircut, and then seeing like, hey, I got some time. You looks like you're overdue for your haircut. Do you want me to set you up with an appointment? So those are called warm leads, right? It's still one-on-one, but these are people that have already known you, or already been in your chair. So you reach out to them and you ask them, and you say, hey, I see it's been a while since your last haircut. Do you want to come in sometime soon? I got some time for you. That's so much easier than trying to like force a new client to come in your chair. These are people that have already seen you. And you can also reach out to anybody that's canceled or no-showed on you in the past, because these are already people that have shown interest in coming to you. They just couldn't make it for whatever reason, right? And I understand, I'm a barber, and I hate it when people no-show and cancel on me too, but stuff comes up, I get it. That's why I'm not like, it's not like a big deal if you book a call with me and like you don't show up. Like, it would have been nice to have a heads up, right? But stuff happens, right? We'll try again another time, So you reach out to people that have canceled or no-showed on you. See if they want to come in and give it another shot. Reach out to people you've already talked to or have already cut that are overdue for a cut. Now, I say overdue, like, it depends on the person, but if it's been more than 4 or 6 weeks, they're probably due for another haircut, right? Especially if they have a shorter style. So those are 2 easy ways you can fill your schedule. And that also helps with retention, right? Because these are people that are coming to you, and then you got them to come back. So it's win-win, right? So hopefully that helps you. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about marketing all day. But of course, if you're working in a shop or you own a shop, if you're not on Google, get on Google, or find your shop's Google page, and then every single person that sits in your chair, you should be asking them to write you a review on Google, because it's free. And everybody sees it, right? People are going on Google, man. As long as people are using Google, I'm going to keep preaching Google. It's also free. It costs nothing. Find the link to your shop's page, send it to them, or have a QR code, have them scan it, have them write it before they leave, because if they leave, they're not going to do it. And tell them to write you a review. And if you get 100 reviews with your name in it, it has to have your name. That's a key. It has to have your name in it. If you get 100 reviews with your name in it, then you will probably no longer be asking me about how to get more clients, right? You're going to be asking me about how do I make more money because I'm busy, right? And that's a great problem to have. And that's actually an easier problem to solve, right? I'm just going to be like, well, just raise your prices. So hopefully that helped you. And there's another one here. Let me share my screen real quick, and then we're going to start wrapping up. There's another question here that I want to address. So this one right here, I thought was a good one. How are y'all so fast with your cuts? 15-minute fades. Well, I'll tell you that speed comes from practice and skill, right? So if you've done haircuts for years, you're probably going to be faster by like your thousandth haircut than when you did your first haircut. So the way to get there is through speed, through repetition, right? So one of the things that nobody ever does, but I always recommend to people, is take a video of yourself cutting hair, and you can do like a private live stream if you're afraid about taking up a bunch of storage on your phone. Like what I'm doing right now is a public live stream, but you can do a private live stream. And that way it just saves it to YouTube or to Instagram or whatever. And then but it's private, like only you can see it. And then you can make it public if you want, if it turns out good, but then watch it back, right? Watch the game tape footage, because I learned this from, I got this idea from a book. It was by Vince Lombardi. I forget the name of the title, but basically he's the one that invented, he was the coach for the Green Bay Packers in the NFL. He's the one that invented this concept of watching the game tape footage. Nobody was doing this before Vince Lombardi. He literally started this concept of watching the game tape footage to see what they can do better. But us as barbers don't do that for some reason. It's one of the easiest ways that you can get faster, right? Because you can just watch yourself and be like, oh, well, why did I pick up that clipper 3 times? Why did I pick up that? No wonder I had so much trouble blowing that line out. I didn't give myself enough room there. So it's one of the easiest ways that you can get faster. And that's just one of the ways that I recommend. But I also have another way. So if you guys haven't seen it already, I added some new things into the classroom of the group. Yeah, I said that right. So there's a new course right here called How to Cut Hair Faster. And this is the light version. But I took some of the best stuff, I think, from the full course, and I put it here, and I made it available for free for anybody that's in the group, in the free Barber Mastermind group. And because I think this is one of the easiest ways that you can make more money right now without changing anything else. You don't have to change your prices. You don't have to leave the shop you're at. You don't have to do anything. Just try to cut a little bit faster, right? And that's why I started with this course, because it's the first thing that I focused on. Well, first I focused on learning how to cut hair, right? Which we have dozens of tutorials in this classroom. There's a skin fade haircut course right there. Where's the barber tutorials? Right here. Oh yeah, see, we have all these videos about how to cut hair, right? But once you know how to cut hair, I think you should turn your focus on how do I do the same quality, but do it faster. And that's what this course is, and it's free, right? So if you're in the free group, go ahead and start going through this stuff, because if you can do your haircuts in half the time, you will double the amount of money you make. So if you're at 60 minutes, for example, and you can get down to 30, nothing else changes, say charging the same price. Now you can see 2 clients per hour instead of 1, and you can make twice as much money. And guess what? Your clients will probably appreciate that more, because at least the kind of clients that I work with, again, it depends on your clients, but most people that I see don't want to be in the chair forever, right? They got other stuff to do. So they want they want a good haircut first. But if you can give them a good haircut and also get them in and out within a decent amount of time, then that's like, you just became more valuable, right? Because I learned this lesson the hard way in the barbershop, because I was doing, at first I sucked, right? everybody around me was doing way better haircuts and in 15 minutes, and I did shittier haircuts, and it took me 45 minutes to an hour. But once I got my quality up, but my timing was still slow, I was still realizing that I was losing clients to the barbers around me because they were faster. So the quality was now the same. This is Alex at like 8 months in, right? So the quality started to get really close to the barbers around me. So it wasn't, the quality was the same, but I was still at 45 minutes and they were at 15. So I was like, oh shit, it's actually an advantage to be faster, right? So then I started working on my time, but while trying to keep the quality the same, I started keeping the quality the same, but slowly lowering my time to the point where now my quality and my timing was the same as the barbers around me. And at that point, I started losing a lot less clients. I started taking some of their clients from them, right? So cutting hair faster is one of the most powerful things you can do to make more money as a barber. Another thing you can do, this is another free course that I added to the group, is you can, where is it? There's a how to price your haircuts course now, which this is, I gave you part one of it for free. But the idea is once you're busy and once you know how to do a haircut well and within a decent amount of time, now let's figure out the right pricing, right? Because if, like I said earlier, if you are busy but you're broke, you're probably mispriced. So if you can access this course, I think you have to level up to access this one, but to level up is free. You just got to engage in the group.